made us.
Yes.
Chelsea Rendon, who plays Mari, la pinche chinche. Sam Chappie, who plays Dear Eddie. And Michelle Prada, who plays Emma.
Okay, so let's try to go back to the conversation we were having about some of the deeper issues that the show, I mean, it's a lot of really amazing filmmaking, a lot of eye candy, a lot of sexy stuff, right? But it's also dealing with some really important issues. You brought up the notion of gentrification, which for those of you who don't know, gentrification is like gentrification only by gente, all right? By people from the community who have a little bit more money or who come back to try to, in their words, make the community better. That's not exactly how the residents receive that, right, Pinche Chinche?
Oh yeah, Pinche Chinche is all against that. And I said, what are you doing? Oh, I was like, can I cuss here? I don't know. Like, fucking shit! But that's such a big, important topic, especially in, not only in LA, but it's happening all over America and other places as well. I think a lot of you can attest to that. And it's so important, and it's about not losing our core of what we know. And like, I'm born and raised in like Montebello, East LA. So when we had base camp at Mercadito, I was so excited. I went and got 2 elotes that day from my elote lady because I go there all the time. And it just meant something that I could be somewhere that was like 10 minutes from my house. It was the fastest drive I ever had to set, and I was so excited. And also my mom came to set, and my dad came to set, and my niece, and being able to actually be in the community that I grew up in, filming the show, it's like it was destined to be, and it was really beautiful. But it's like, we don't want to lose those core things, and if like they would take away a Mercadito and put like a Walmart, I would punch a hoe. Like, you know, like I really would. I would definitely become Pinche Chinche and do something and start a petition and riot or something, because I want to be able to take my kids, when I have kids, not right now, I'm waiting. When I have kids, I want to be able to take them there and show them and have them go through what I went through. And I think that's the importance. And I think that's what Starz and VIDA does, is it humanizes gentrification and gentrification. Because you hear it on the news and it's just another news story. But you don't see the reality of people being displaced, and Mari talks a lot about that, and season 2 gets into that, what's someone closer to her, because there's a situation with Yoli. And I think it's about humanizing it. And I think VIDA humanizes Latinos in general, which is so important.
The reason why I accepted this assignment from Starz is because usually gentrification is an us and them issue, but this is an us and us issue, right? It's upwardly mobile Latinx who are coming back or staying and changing their neighborhood. And so there's, for that, especially when you have ownership of that neighborhood, it's a hazy yes or no. Like it's not black and white, you know? So, and I thought there was a show in there because the sisters embody that gentrification. And if you've seen the second season, it's not as simple. It's not simple.
Because they've been there for 5 generations, so they may have even been there longer than some of the people protesting them. So, you know, and that creates a complex debate that we get to see played out in this cultural snapshot of a show. So it's really special because there isn't a black and white. It's a lot of mixy gray.
So there's a lot of manera to build a show for seasons, you know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, which means you guys need to watch and subscribe in order for us to get a season 3 and a season 4, because it comes down to you. I heard the claps, there wasn't that many claps for people that watch the show. You know what I'm saying? So I'm calling you out. We gotta support each other. Like she said, we have to support each other. So with supporting shows like VIDA, supporting shows like Mayans MCs, supporting shows like Party of 5, that's a new reboot that's gonna come out, that is a Latino show, talking about parents that were deported. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things that are happening. There's your Iglesias on Netflix, Gentrified on Netflix. There's so much content that's coming out right now. But what determines if they get picked up and get continued is our viewership. And we hold a lot of power. But there's a reason why One Day at a Time got canceled, because we weren't watching. Like, I can say that I watched season 1 and season 3, I didn't watch season 2. I tried to watch an episode and I wasn't feeling it. But I should have just watched it anyway and put it on in the background. So it's so important. We have such a strong voice, and we have to use it.
I want to defend it one day at a time a little bit. People were viewing it. It's just, it wasn't enough for that network, but we don't know what the numbers were. They won't tell the numbers. So it is like, what is the bar? Sometimes it feels like the bar for brown people, for Latinx, it's like higher and it keeps changing. You know, so what do we have to, you know, because I'm in the conversations in that conference room where they're talking about like, you know, we need more viewership. Well, how much do you need? Like, because if you look at other shows, if you look at broadcast television, the viewership is like, you know, it's not, right now we're not in the age of like 15 years ago where people used to, like 17 million people used to watch a TV show. That like, success can be like 2 million people watching an episode. But it's weird because like we are new to this medium. We're on Prime Cable, which you've never had a Latinx themed show on Prime Cable. So in a way, we're creating the model and the rules, but it's a shaky ground. It feels like in the castle. I call Hollywood the castle. Like to be in there, you know, how do we get to stay in here and shepherd other shows? And you know, Gentefied is coming, Mr. Iglesias is coming, and it's like, how do we support those shows?
I feel like it's a movement, like building a movement and building on each other too, and the shows within. But like every view is a vote, and that's how I feel. It's campaigning for season 3, for season 4. But now, you know, so it's like this effect. But and so much more can happen from that mobilizing.
If you don't just like plant a seed and then like walk away and expect to come back with their big garden, be like, look, we planted the seed, look at us, kind of like act like you have to water it, you have to give it sunshine, you have to keep it going, and you guys are part of our family, you know, so it doesn't happen alone.
Well,
This woman can't do it all.
But this room is the demographic that watches and consumes the most like film, right? But they haven't made a film for you. They don't have to. You haven't demanded it. You just will go watch all the films, because I know I do. But like in the numbers, this room consumes the most entertainment. We pay for it. Yet we don't demand our stories to be made, you know? And so when these conversations and these conference rooms with these suits, you know, it's like, but they're not coming. And they're like, no, but they do come. They do come, but they don't come to your own stuff. And it's mind-boggling because we haven't demanded it. And like Sarah was saying, your view is your vote. Yeah.
And I think it's also, about accepting, even though it's not your life, but it's a brown person on screen, accepting it. Like there was a lot of hate about Gina playing Miss Bala, right? And it's like, oh, she's Puerto Rican playing a Mexican. But she's brown, guys. We need to support that because we're not in a place where we could demand a Puerto Rican director and a Puerto Rican actor to be in a Puerto Rican movie. We're not there. We're not Jewish. Like, you know?
The dominant thing is that nobody's like, oh, he's British, he can't play American. Yeah. Like, nobody's like freaking out or all Australian, they can't. They don't do it.
Even if, even like when Emma was eating a taco with Valentina, it was such a big issue. Who eats a taco like that, or what salsa is that?
White Tina.
She is a white Tina.
I'm gonna jump in there because I want us to come right on back to the show. And I know. This is hurting gatos, gatas or whatever. Okay, Michelle has said, I'd really like for you to talk about your individual characters and how they've changed and evolved from season 1, but especially the relationship between the two. Okay, and if maybe viewer commentary or anything, like the whole thing about the taco, had any influence on the way that you play the character now?
I personally don't feel like the viewer, I think whatever choices were made in season 1, you stick to them, and that's just part of what creates this other character, and you go down that hole and maybe discover other things. If this is true, then what else is true? Then what else is true? And I think that's just, I don't know, it makes it more fun because it's these unexpected things that allow you, they're like gifts. But with the changes with season 1, I mean, I think season 1 you see Emma really trying to push away what she feels like she's outgrowing, what she's left behind. And by the end, you discover she has this really violent love for this neighborhood that she felt pushed away from. So it's like this back and forth thing. You also have her feeling really responsible for a homophobic act that was committed against Eddie, and she, in a lot of ways, is responsible. And realizes what she's really been doing, even just with her words. There's this physical incarnation of what's been happening, and it's a very sobering moment. And even though she doesn't always have the best, like, you know, bedside manner, or isn't, like, nice, but she is a very, I think, like, she's a responsible person, and she will do the right thing when it comes down to it. So she starts season 2 with making a choice to not only have a business with her family, which, you know, that's always going to go well. Everything's going to go perfect season 2. But also making a choice to be a family. And that's something that a lot of us kind of grapple with as we, you know, get older and grow up. And she burns her ships. She liquidates everything, and that's just the way that she's known to do. She just walks away from whatever she moves from and makes a choice that goes all in, which I fully respect in a lot of ways, and is now at a point where she is having to take care of everybody. And maybe she doesn't have to, and is kind of the issue. Maybe she could let people, but she's used to, as we see the way that she is sexually from the get-go, she likes the control, because in control, she's not dependent on anybody else and people can't hurt her. But then, you know, we have Eddie here, which is, at the beginning of season 1, we have a lot of more unexpected things, like she's not technically and legally responsible anymore. So now she has to make an emotional decision, which is not really her forte, to say the least.
Thank you. For me, like, nursing is, like, it was important for me to be able to root myself and, like, not really focus on anything else, to be able to you know, get into any season 1 and walk as I felt like a tightrope. So I had to go, and in the world also I didn't step into, I felt in this way. And for season 1, Eddie, you know, y'all, it was really difficult to do, but I felt like I called on my ancestors, my transcestors. I looked at my roots that were around me as we were shooting, and I was like, this is what I'm focusing on, is not necessarily what make people think, but that there are folks that need to be remembered, that need to be acknowledged, that need to be, you know, like, celebrated. And so with that, I just look around and we were shooting in the East Side, and I was blessed. I just feel like, you know, you say that, but also know that it all working together, you know, my life and intersectionality and all that, you know, doing it. So then anyway, doing season 2, it felt like I was putting that suit back on, you know, the roots were there, and now it's going into the deeper mourning process, like it already was in season 1, and just continuing that because it's 9 days after the episode 6, where there's the attack, the homophobic attack, from, you know, this Latino guy, you know, the bar patron in the neighborhood and stuff, and that leads into, you know, all of this weight around Eddie, and then Eddie is completely immobilized. And has to think while they're trying to heal with broken ribs and broken everything, business, you know, and think about the property and the tenants and all the things and all the things that weigh, and still mourning for Vidalia and hanging on to any piece of Vidalia that she has, which is really simple in season 2 of the t-shirt. Right? Can you say that?
I feel so bad for Eddie. Season 2, you get no wins.
It just continues to get worse.
Why do you get no wins? What is that? Like, she's crying all the time. She's the only one holding the torch for VIDA actively, so it makes sense. But what is
It also hasn't been that long since she's
9 days,
you
like,
know, so it's like, you know, you don't get over the love of your life that quickly.
And
I
the
think
thing
you
is
should
that
be
they
allowed
don't
to
talk
mourn.
about that. They don't talk about the loss of that. They don't talk about what it feels like to lose the loss of your life. We were talking about grieving, and very clearly Eddie is the one that does the the legible grieving, when we know that she is in that deeply depressed state that you naturally get into when you lose somebody that you know that you have committed your life to. But you were talking also that there's different ways of grieving, and that your character is also grieving. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing Emma knows to do is to throw herself into what she can fix, what she can work. It's very practical. So you see her do exactly what she's done her whole life. She throws herself into work and how to fix it. And like I said before, it's the first time Emma's really having to make emotional decisions and is like choosing not to. But that's, I think, part of why she's come back. Is for that, and we talked about like all three of them are grieving just so differently that they can't really connect. I feel like a lot of times when you see them, you wish that one person would just reach out to the other and be like, it's okay, but they never do, and that happens a lot in families. It's why a lot of times when a couple loses a child to death or even miscarriage, they don't stay together. It's really common because people grieve so differently. And we look at the other person and we're like, why aren't you more like me? Why aren't you doing it my way's the right way? And I think that you even mentioned it's like, what's wrong with you? How can you be so meaningless? And it's like, she just gets out of there.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I realized in preparing for it and talking to people who actually mourn, you know, their loved one passing away, is that people would come up to them and society has this issue with mourning. Like they just like get weird about it and start asking really inappropriate questions sometimes, or you know, start saying, aren't you over it yet? Like all these things, like, you know, and it's like I think, you know, it's important to televise and to put it up onto the screen because it's obviously the issue that we have with grieving and our emotions and processing and what that means for each individual person. I know I was like policed, you know, by my own family. Why aren't you grieving? You know, why aren't you crying? And I was just like, but then I cried when I went to, you know, in the middle of something. I was like, and uncontrollable. So, and that's what, and it's like that too, you know. But that's also part of it, the anger that bursts and want to control too. And he's like, he wants to. There's like some way, like hold on to something. He's like gonna fall and pummel down into the, you know, the abyss. I don't know.
We
but.
police each other. We police each other for so many things. There's a scene in the season where we call it the queer police scene, where they're policing Emma's queerness. Since the first episode, this one's policing their Latinidad, you know, calling them white Tina from Go. So like it's a show about us, but we as a community police each other, not just out in the morning, for everything, you know.
Yeah, and this brings me to a very wonderful topic, and a topic that might be hard to talk about, but fun to talk about at the same time, which is sex. Let's talk about sex. This is a sexy show. And for those of you who are looking for new techniques and stuff,
No.
Viruses on your computer.
that you've never
They know
tried.
these techniques. They know. It's just they haven't
That's why I
seen
said,
them.
for the ones who might not know and who are looking for something a little different, you know, I mean, we definitely explore a range of sexual practices in the show, which definitely makes it very, you know, like you can't like move out of your seat because you're gonna, if you blink, you're gonna miss, you know, something important. Let's talk about that with starting with Sony.
I want to raise a very important issue. Heteros are assy, okay? Heteros eat ass. And in this show, I want to explore that. It's one of the things that the show does. No,
Awkward.
this show hears even heterosex, you know, a little bit. But also, these, especially the two sisters, because homegirl over there is figuring out her sexuality still. She's a 21-year-old.
She's a virgin.
She's a virgin, but she's figuring out her agency over her body. As a person, she's got a lot of oppressive forces. Her father, her boyfriend, or whatever, fuckboy boyfriend, and her brother. So it's, you know, but these two girls, well, Melly's not here to represent Lynn, but they have figured out something about like their version of sex positivity. Now you can shrink them and say, well, you're using, like Lynn, having sex and getting eaten out and your mother's like velorio at the funeral, like is not a good way of mourning. But like she's figured something out, you know. It was very important to us the way we shoot these, that that our actors always feel safe. There's a lot of females on my set because we haven't talked about that. My show gets, the way the show gets crafted is as important as the show we're crafting. My entire writer's room is Latinx. Only one cis male, the rest is female. All of the directors this season, Latinas. I think that may be the first female DPs, more of a Latina, female editors. This is a very rare world. This is unheard of. But it wasn't hard. You know, the dominant culture in Hollywood says, you know, it's hard. We couldn't find. We're here. You know. But so the way we build the show. So 10, the one that I directed. I got to direct this season. It was, you know, it was that bathroom scene. And it was a queer DP, a queer first AD, a queer second AD, me, all women in this bathroom taking care of these two women. And it you know, it's, I think it makes a difference. Maybe you can speak on it. Like just the safety.
Yeah, I think it also, because I don't know, there's also a part of me that sounds like it's professional, but I've also hung out with guys offset and been like, and then they were naked, you know, whatever. And it's always like, oh gosh, like you don't want to really be thinking about that when you're trying to be so vulnerable, not only in your body, but emotionally as well. And getting to be part of that and sitting in those rooms, you feel so empowered in a way that sometimes I wish I felt more in my own sexual life, just being like, I got this is how this is gonna go, let's figure this out and let's do it again. And for me it's been a beautiful exercise in what that feels like, to really not feel like you're being judged or it's gonna be kind of icky or feel weird. And that last scene was it was exhausting. We were exhausted after every take, but it was also because we felt comfortable to give everything that we had to do that. And I think that's that space.
And it was important, especially in the queer scenes, that they're like anatomically correct, because I've been watching queer scenes made by the male gaze that are not, we would have to get lower for that to work, you know? But we were shooting that scene in a sidewalk when we were shooting the episode before, and I was like, Roberta, how strong are your thighs? Can you, and then in the sidewalk, like you were straddling her, so is that okay? Do you think we could do, because I think that I don't know what people were thinking, that we're passing by, we're not in the sidewalk. But it's important, and I do think it comes from my very queer writer's room, because like the scene in the third episode that opens the episode, the tiguerazo scene, where where Emma is having sex with a non-binary person. That you might think that non-binary, you know, masculine center people, maybe they're top. No, Emma's the top, and whatever negotiation she's had pre-negotiation, because it's a sliding, you know, a Tinder thing. So she's negotiated that. No, these are the rules, and I control the rules, you know. And then you're seeing that in action. There's something really empowering about, oh, so Emma's a femme top, okay, you know, and you recognize that, and there's something really empowering. We don't see brown queers like with any agency. So just seeing her in action too, because Michelle Vadillo, you know, brown queer. So and I stay a little long in the scenes by design, because I want you to feel them, not like just to feel inside the scene, not because so often our point of view has been managed by the dominant culture from the outside in, right? Everything about this show, the emotional parts, the alone moments, everything you should be feeling inside the world.
I had heard a few people when they first saw that scene, they were like, oh my gosh, we thought something bad was going to happen to Emma. Because it was in this warehouse, and you know, and I think also there was this, I mean, a part of me has to think that maybe there's even this social conditioning. When you see something like that, it's going to go wrong.
That apartment was amazing.
It was so
nice.
nice.
What do you tell you?
It was twice. Two separate people were like, oh, I thought something bad was going to happen to you. I was like, no, something good was going to happen.
She faced that.
I think one thing that I love about Mari's journey is that she's such a badass in the world. She's this badass chingona. Everyone's cheering her on. But the minute she gets around the guy that she likes, she melts. And a lot of people were like, what are you doing? Forget him, da 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 da. But it's like, I remember being 18 and being like almost brainwashed by my boyfriend to do something really stupid and disrespect myself. So it's like, I think, and people were tweeting this like, oh, Mari's me at 22 when I'm dealing with this dude or whatever. Like, so I think it was really beautiful to see someone that's so powerful in a sense also be so vulnerable. And that sometimes is not spoken about. Like, it's like, oh, I'm powerful, so I'm not. It's like almost like Emma when it's like, I'm super hard, I don't have anything inside, but then she's like gooey inside sometimes. And that was really beautiful to play. And then also to see Mari with the dad and understand she's 21-year-old virgin because her dad's the way the dad is and the brother is the way the brother is. And in season 2, you see Mari and Tlaloc get interrupted by Johnny and it's super awkward. And it's like, oh my God, this is my friend, you need to leave, like get out. And it's that awkward moment and it's so important to portray that where it's like, yes, she's a chingona, but she also has so many layers to her and each character has so many layers to them. And it's so beautiful to just see all of that.
She's in her chingoneria process, but she's not full on chingona yet.
They all have places to grow, which is really great, and you're kind of cheering them on and hoping, you're like, come on, you're better than this.
I love that scene when we shot it because the bed was awkward and I was like, no, and they were like, they wanted to, I was like, no, the awkward is the scene. Like you getting shifting and you all were really, yes, like, because that's really what happens.
Yeah.
It's not all glossy and perfect. I'm like, no, it's awkward as fuck, you know?
It was like, if you guys watch season 2 and episode 2, there's a scene with Mari and Tlaloc. Don't yell at me. She wrote it. Anyways, and so they're like trying to get him like to bed, and we ended up like laughing, and she ended up using that in the actual scene, and that was really cool to see because it is awkward, and especially for someone like Mari that's never really experienced that. To like be like, oh, okay, wait, how do I do this?
Where do I put my
Okay.
arm? Where do you, do I look at you? Like, yeah. Yeah.
I just want to say too, like about how we, and I feel like, you know, it's such a safe set and so wonderful, is a test to Tanya because she actually asked us if we're gonna be nude, you know, and do, you know, completely, and I was like, okay, yeah, because you know, to have masculine body on screen, yes, but it was a process of like, no, really think about it. What do you need? And I'm like, I can do it. Dun, 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 come on, I'm an actor, you know. And then no, but it was the time, the days. Like she gave me like, I think you were talking about the 3 days, right? The 3 days. And it felt forever. And I thought about it and I thought about it. And when I was like, what would make me feel like I could go be vulnerable completely and wouldn't trigger me, because that'll take me out. What would help facilitate that, you know, so I don't have to do all this extra work. And I thought all women in the room, because if I see like any sort of thing that could mean something, I'm working with memories to go and be able to do this and be completely vulnerable. And it was, they made it happen like boom. And when I saw that, like no question, I just, yes, no one took it personally, nothing, like I was able to just be like, go ahead, and in 2 takes I was done.
You were safe.
I was totally safe.
Yeah, awesome. We're almost out of time, unfortunately, but there's a very important thing that I want to ask all of you. Why does VIDA deserve an Emmy?
You tell us. What do you think? Why do you think this brown queer show deserves an Emmy?
Because it's a brown queer show. That centers Latinidad and queerness and real issues in our community and people that we can all relate to.
There you go.
I think it's also important to know that our show is what it is regardless of any award that it receives, regardless of any, any outside indicator. I mean, I know that we're really proud of the work that we've made. We're really honored to have gotten brought on by Tanya and be just part of bringing this world to life. And those awards, I think, are important in the sense that they bring more visibility and they give the gatekeepers and the powers that be just one more reason to hire our writers again, to hire our DPs again, to say, hey, these shows matter. because that's their little brains that think that way. But so I think no matter what, I'm proud of what we have. I think we should definitely show up. We're gonna definitely try for what it is because we need to be part of the conversation, and our job is to show up, and we will. But more importantly, we want to make sure that as many people as possible get to see this show, not only just for us, but for the shows that come behind us, and even 100 years from now. I know that I take for granted. I used to take for granted my ability to vote, and I had the luxury of forgetting how many women of color fought for me to have that ability to vote. And in a weird way, I want people to be able to take for granted what it's like to see Latinos on TV and let that be like, yep, this is just the way it's always been, right? And I think that leading into that, that's what my heart would love to be a part of.
I think also, this is not for them, it's for us. And that's a beautiful thing. Like, I was 6 years old when I watched, or 5 years old when I watched Selena at the drive-in, and I realized I wanted to do this. So this is for, even though VIDA is rated R and it's not for kids, but it's for young adults, or even you guys, old, anybody, any age that's above like 17, I think, could watch this. But it's like for those people that maybe have never seen brown people as humans on screen, as not the maid, not the cholo, not all that stuff, but just as humans, to see like, oh wow, maybe I can do that. Whether, again, like there was a woman in Black Panther that started acting at like 80 something and booked Black Panther. So it doesn't matter what age you are, if this is something you want to do, seeing a show like this could ignite that fire in you, and that's what's going to help us in 100 years from now, having so many Latino directors and so many like different people making what we should be making.
Yeah, and hopefully
No. And so yeah, so it's about us. That of course, yeah, everybody wants to win an award or whatever, like, and we think that makes us legit. But you guys watching, you guys talking about it, you guys feeling each of our scenes and our characters and connecting is what it's all about. Because it's movies, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's that where you connect to it and you're supposed to go into this world, and that's what it's about. It's about you guys and it's about us. So remember, if you don't have Starz, subscribe today, because they'll see, oh wow, there's a big jump. What happened? And then it's like, oh yeah, we were talking to a bunch of brown people and they actually fucking supported us. It's just showing the big companies we matter. Period. There's no, oh, we matter because of this. No, we just matter because we exist.
Right.
Thank you guys for all being here. I mean, really, it's an honor, and thank you. I mean, I'm so happy that this exists.
I think I follow half of the room in like Instagram. Yeah.
You guys are inspiring me, just looking at all of your faces and seeing everybody come together. And this is a power that you can't ignore. And I think we need to remember that we have it.
And also, we support like little companies. Like I'm wearing VIDA cosmetics right now. VIDA, we use Shopee VIDA. Like we use all these companies that are brown.
On the show and person.
On the show and in person, and that's what it's about. So yes, I'm over here preaching to support our show, but I'm also talking about preaching about just supporting brown people in general. That's why I mentioned other shows that are coming out, or other movies or other companies, because we have to support each other. And that's a thing that I think that other people don't talk about necessarily, because whites support whites or black supports blacks or whatever, but everybody showed up for Crazy Rich Asians. It didn't matter if they were Asians, we all showed up, I showed up. So it's about us showing up for us so that other people are like, oh, what is that? And then they can show up for us. But we have to start it.
And that's what this place is all about, right? Supporting each other through it, empowering ourselves, right? It's like Latina democracy all over the place, right? Okay, we're out of time. They're not out of things to say. They're gonna still be around, so make sure that you come over here and you talk to them, take a picture, whatever it is. Was there something else you want? Okay, thank you so much. It's been an honor.